Welcome to the Fool's Gold TV podcast. Our goal is to discover the gems of the African diaspora. Join us as we get off the resort, experience life like the locals, and redefine Black travel. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.
In today's episode, we're sitting down with the outstanding Miss Joy T. Barnum. She is a singer, songwriter, and international performer. She's going to bless us with her humor, her amazing stories, and a lot of wisdom and gems on the beautiful country and island of Bermuda. You want to hear this, and you want to get her inside scoop. See you soon.
And this is the funny thing, because Bermudians are bougie. Like, y'all will do, like, y'all want to go away. Y'all want to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we do everything comfortably. Like, if you're camping, it's comfortable. The music is blaring. Everyone's got like the barbecue. That I've seen tents that had actual window unit ACs in them and a generator. That's not camping, but that's how they do it here sometimes.
Really?
That's a little extreme, but it's hot, so I get it.
What?
Yeah, you should come. You should come. I mean, not specifically for a storm, but we could pretend. We could pretend. I mean, anything's possible. They have fancy glamping. That was really cool. I did a singing thing for this lady's birthday. She's amazeballs. She wanted to do something in the midst of COVID, just she and her husband. And for COVID, we are like on lockdown. And I just started a TikTok page because I'm like, I'm an entertainer. I'm a singer. I can't like not sing. So I sang every night. I sang every night straight, 190 days straight. I did of just singing. And I would pick a song. And the trick was I had to do it in one take, no edits. Mm-hmm. And I just pick a song that I didn't know on a playlist, listen to it, be like, I think that's the best minute, hit record, and then just sing. So there's like no cute like ring lights, none of that. It's just like COVID stuff. So she and her husband are on my page looking, and she's like, can I hire you for my birthday? We're glamping for my birthday. So they rented this glamping thing where it's touchless. Everything is touchless anyway. So there's this gorgeous tent that people go and they set up and they put lights and they put like the cot and they put like rugs down. And then they have, you have different packages. So then the people ordered the food package. So the food is already there with the heat things underneath it. No one has to come in contact with anything. So she and her husband all like dressed up. It's cold. I have to pretend it's not cold. They're pretending it's not cold. And she said, can you come sing? And I was like, that has no electricity, right? And she was like, no. I said, no worries. I got this. Just charged up my iPod, charged up my iPad, and then show up there with cushions so that I'm like far away from them and my little speaker system. And I sing for them with no application or anything for an hour while they're eating. That was so awesome. People are just brilliant here. And then you just see like this beautiful tent in the middle of nowhere with lights and yeah.
But
that's the storm.
I'm so impressed at how creative you were. And it's like, you're like, nah, I'm not going to say no. Because most people be like, nah, I can't do it. They're like, nah. You're like, nope, I got you. Let me charge this real quick. Let me get on out there real quick. Let me, who rigged this real quick? And
I feel like I've been, well, okay, so I guess since it's over, I could spill the beans. So she asked me to sing, and I asked her what her favorite song was. And then I was like, it's her birthday. My sister gets mad when I do stuff like this. I'm like, it's her birthday. I was like, look, this is how much I charge, but you just give me whatever you feel like giving me, because I like you and I get to come out and it'll be great. So I prepared like 2 or 3 of her favorite songs, and I was cool. So then she messaged me half an hour before to say, I deposited the money in your account. I was like, okay, cool. I looked at my account and I was like, Ruthie, that's my sister. Ruth, she paid me my full amount. I need to go there and sing for an hour. Help me with this playlist. And so, and I went to like all the love songs that I had and I like lined them up and blah, blah. It turned out some of them were her favorite, but I was prepared to sing for like free for like 10 minutes. And then I was like, oh, we get an hour in. That's the word. It was so cool.
Money did talk in that moment.
I was like, oh, okay, she paid me in, because I didn't have any work.
Right.
I'm not turning anybody down.
Right.
I went from like performing once a week at this really cool hotel to nothing. Like summer's supposed to be like popping. It's an island. Everybody wants you.
Yeah.
Everybody's performing. Everybody's like, oh, can you come join this band? Can you do this? Can you do that? I went to that going, yeah, you know, we're like, is it squirrels? I think squirrels and bears. We like do everything during the summer. And then in the winter, you like relax because you don't have that kind of work coming in. You might get like 1 or 2 gigs and that's cool. It's fine. But you work like summer. My friends are like, you're a winter friend. Other people are fair weather friends. You're a winter friend. I'm like, I got all the time for you in the winter. In the summer, I'm like, I got another gig, going to this gig, but not last year. So when she said, can I sing? I was like, yes. And then when she paid me how much I really charged, I was like, oh girl, you're getting all the treatment.
So she's a friend. She knows you're rating everything.
Yeah, I'm like, you're getting it all. I'm gonna sing all the songs for you. Every song that you ever wanted to hear and some that you didn't know. What is your husband like? Oh, okay.
Right. So summer, spring, you like pack like 7 days a week type of thing? Is that how it works?
Usually people, so in Bermuda, for some reason, people get married on Thursdays. I'm not a wedding singer by any stretch of the imagination, but I am affiliated with a couple of bands who do weddings. And so then I'll be the female singer. They'll be like, oh, we have Joy T. Barnum as part of our package. Yeah. And so then they'll be like, okay, we've got a wedding this day. People get married on a Thursday. Now, I know it's tradition, but I think it's because you don't want a lot of people to come to your wedding. Yeah. Because they're at work. But no. Or you just want to get off work. Like, give me a reason and excuse. So then I'll be like doing gigs from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's the sweet stuff.
It's a really great setup because especially for how much I charge. And the story behind that is I was singing in college. I got a music scholarship, not what I expected. I wanted to go to school and like do something sporty. Like physical, what was it? I wanted to run all the time and do stuff all the time, but this is going to sound like such a 17-year-old. Once I found out that the title of my degree would be PE, I was like, you mean like a PE teacher? I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. So I talked to my mom. I was like, I want to go to the Fashion Institute in Florida. And my mom was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. And the lady came and she spoke to my mom at length, you know, recruiters come. And my mom was like, listen to her and smile. And she's like, And when she left, she was like, you're not going there. And I was like, okay. Well, my birth certificate says I was born elsewhere, even though we were back here by the time I was 1. What if I go to that state school?
Yeah.
And I could get you like a discount. And she was like, you're not going there. They have co-ed dorms. And I was like, yeah, that's the only reason I wanted to go. I had no ambition beyond that. I was like, this will be so cool. So I ended up going to Oakwood University.
Yeah.
Because the year before, my sister, she's older than me, so her graduation was the year before, and I sang at her graduation.
Oh, nice.
I'm sang at her graduation, and the recruiter for my sister's graduation approached me in 11th grade and said, we want you to come to our school after you complete the next year on a music scholarship. And I was like, what? Like music was just something I liked doing. I just liked singing. Yeah. I didn't like taking instruction.
Right.
I just like singing. So I got a music scholarship to Huntsville, Alabama. And that's where I ended up going for school. I'd sung for the 4 years straight. And as a music major, there were like electives, other musical electives. And I took those too. I took chamber chorus. I took all of those. We're the Aeolians. So the Aeolians have sung for the Clintons and in the White House and all those sorts of things. And when I got back home, I was like, I think I'm done singing, because touring would start on Thursday night and it would end on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have any like leeway you had to be at my 8 o'clock class, and I just got in at 4 o'clock. So I was touring before it was a cool rock and roll thing to do. I was touring and singing and promoting for my college for the 4 years. And then the rehearsals were 2 hours at night and 1 hour in the afternoon. So I was rehearsing 3 hours a day, then taking my 1 hour of voice, right? So I was singing for 4 straight hours a day, then singing on the weekends, and like, I mean, busting up shop for these concerts. We would like take bets, well, like just like no money, but be like, I bet you my feet will be more swollen than yours by the end of this. You're not even gonna be able to put your feet back in those things. And then I was on the all-girls soccer team. So I'm pretty sure I broke 2 toes, but I didn't have time to assess whether or not I broke them. So I just taped them, slammed on the heels, and just didn't take off the shoes for the concert, the 2-hour concert. And yeah, so when I got back, I did not sing at all. And I didn't sing for 4 years.
Really?
Didn't sing a lick. So then I had a friend who, they started a radio station here called Hot 107.5.
Okay.
And the radio station decided that they wanted to have a music competition where you'd win $1,075. And my boyfriend at the time was like, "You're gonna enter?" And I was like, "Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that." And he was like, "Yeah, you are." And then we broke up. But he was like, "This is the song that you're gonna sing too." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, how does a music competition work? What does one do?" And my sister's friend named Chanel Flash, her husband at the time, Dion Flash, was a musician. And she was like, "Listen," she got some island in her. She's like, "Listen, people like them highs, people like the low. They like when you get all grimy and they like it sweet, do all of that." And I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna do all of that in 2 minutes. I'm gonna find what part of the song to do that. I'm gonna get her husband to build me the track." All of these things that like I just didn't know were available to me in here, just like came out. And I did the competition, and I came a tie. They were like, "This is unprecedented." I tied for second place, like first runner up, whatever. It wasn't a winner. The winner was the immaculate Origine. She could sing anything. She used to be like karaoke queen.
Okay.
So she won because she sang Stephanie Mills, and Stephanie Mills was gonna be a judge, but she ended up not being able to make it. But she sang Home, like she sang the pants off of Home.
Wow.
Now, I went to a Christian school. I grew up in church. I didn't know Home yet. I learned about jazz while I was in college. I learned about gospel while I was in college. My upbringing was more like Christian contemporary, Patti LaBelle, a little bit of opera, some Wintley Phipps, some bass going down there. I'd try and sing like bass. I like entered into the school thinking that I was going to sing tenor, and my teacher laughed at me. He was like, "There's no such thing as a female tenor." I was like, "You're sexist." And I turned out to be a first soprano, and like tearing the pants out the first soprano. He and I are like tight in heart from that minute I looked at him and called him sexist. He was like, "I'm gonna love this chick." And so we get along great. That's Professor Lloyd Mallory. He was the professor. But I did this competition, and after the competition, people started calling and asking me to sing. And I had no idea what to charge them or anything like that. So the radio station took care of it. And they're the ones who set my fee. And at the time I was like, "Oh, that is a lot of money." Really? People want to basically hear me sing karaoke and they're gonna pay me. This is crazy. So I had that fee for 10 years. Like that was my fee. Turns out when you undersell yourself, people don't like paying. So I wasn't charging enough for what I was giving. And so people would be like, "Oh, if she's charging that little, then she could chase me for that for years, and I'm never going to give it to her."
Right.
So then I had like job upon job upon job so I could support singing. Was not working out. And then one day, 10 years later, I was like, "How much did you pay to put on that performance with those pictures that make this event look amazing?" And I did the math and I was like, "Do you know how much you're in the hole for this? Like you're paying people to sing essentially." So then I just woke up one day, no discussion. I changed my fee to like the minimum base of how much it cost me to put on a show. And I've not looked back ever since. But whenever I tell somebody my fee, I'm like, there's still that person inside going,
Yeah, yeah,
ooh, but you gotta know your worth.
yeah.
And if you didn't get that job, that's okay, because that would have been fee that you would have been chasing. Because if they didn't have it to pay you, they weren't going to give it to you.
Exactly.
So I had to learn that. But it took me like 10 years. So whenever anybody asks me any questions about that sort of thing, I'm like, don't be like me. Don't take 10 years to figure out how much you're worth. Don't do it.
That's a real thing. I mean, I heard the phrase the other day, your price is part of your marketing. You know, like you don't go into Neiman Marcus and question why the price is the price.
Yeah. You pick it up, or you're like, I'll be back when you're on sale. But you know you want it.
Yeah, exactly. And you knew the price was going to be high. You knew when you walked in, like, this isn't the flea market, so I can't really haggle this. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not.
Exactly. I did, like, my friends are like, yeah, you need to start charging more now. I'm like, I feel you. I feel you. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to keep my fee the same, but I'm going to charge them for my musicians. Because then I was getting my fee, but then I was paying out my fee to everybody that I had to make my sound. So I still was going home with like $20. Like, just, I still go home with that. And I'm like, no, that's my fee. And then you pay for my musicians. Mm-hmm. And so then I have a certain caliber of musician that I will work with, who are amazing. Like, if you're not gonna be able to follow or whatever, then we're probably not working together again. It's no hard feelings. If you can't follow, that's fine. Right? I'm gonna love you because that's all I'm about. I'm gonna love you. We're just not gonna work together. I read something recently that said empathy without boundaries is, I can't quote it, but it's like empathy without boundaries is like abuse or something like that. And I'm like, I'm with it. I don't have to, I've adopted the no with the smile. I'm like, no, thank you. And it's working for me. It's working for me. Because I don't have to, I used to have to be really angry to say no to something, but that means that you're sticking yourself into victim mode. And I'm nobody's victim. So as soon as you get yourself out of that and realize that it's okay to say no, especially looking like me and not being of a certain gender or whatever, or gender norm, people expect me to smile and then say yes. So I'd be like, oh, that's what's expected of me. But no, now I can smile and say no. And I don't have to hate you. I can even call you up the next day and be like, want to hang out? That's cool. I'm not going to work with you again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's a real thing. And there's power in that, because I mean, anybody who owns a business, you get to that point where you're just so excited to please people. And I think that's part of like why you're in business, because you want to make people happy. You want to be happy with your product, your service, your goods. And then it's like, oh, well, you're not happy? Or, oh, wait, you didn't fulfill your part? Or, hey, you didn't perform to expectation? No, I'm hurt. Yeah,
that's not cool. How do you expect me to pay my bills? Do you go to the dentist and be like, oh, you wanted me to pay you?
Right.
No, that's not a thing. But I'm still working on that. There are still certain things that I just shouldn't say it on air, but like if it's a funeral, I'm just like, I can't charge you. Somebody died. Like,
That's hard.
I can't.
Yeah.
I should just like stop it. I'm like, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
different if it's a wedding. You've planned this your whole entire life since you were whatever. That's fine. But it's not like, we're 21 square miles.
Yeah.
I probably knew them or came in passing with them or spoke to them. And especially like right now, like I just woke up this morning, called my girlfriend, and two people that we both know passed. And she's just, I'm just like, man, I can't. I just can't. If you ask me, I'm gonna be like, yeah, what time?
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Right. Like, how you just
for a funeral? I mean, that's not expected.
Right.
That's not.
And that's the thing. Like in our communities. Well, I'll speak for like, especially in the U.S. Like our families are so like generationally behind when it comes to like affording funerals that you can't even really charge a decent price anyway, because they can barely afford the casket type thing. They can barely afford.
And that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. We were talking about, I don't mean to be grim, but we were talking about how we can have this much, how how we can have people stacked on top of each other in the graveyards here. My mom was explaining to me that the way the caskets and stuff are built is they break down quickly. So you're able to put family members on top and then they just go right back down to the earth. Because I was like, we should be overrun with like cemeteries and stuff like that, and we're not. And it's from island living, figuring out the best way for your environment to deal with us turning back to dust, I guess. And yeah, not everybody's cremated, but when they are put in that casket, the casket's built in such a way that it breaks down. So my mom explained to me just last week.
So the casket decomposes and then allows the body to go into the ground. And so even if you're stacking, so in Bermuda, you guys stack caskets on top of each other.
Yeah.
How long does it take for the casket to decompose, or the casket to decompose? And
I have no idea. I was wonderstruck. I had never thought about it, but of course death is like all around right now. I had never thought about it. Thought to even ask. Somebody asked my mom, and I was listening to my mom. I was like, "Oh, is that it? That makes sense." And then the family tombstones are all like really close together, like this person, that tombstone next to that, and they just put the names on the same one, just going down.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Really? Because so I visited some graveyards when I came to Bermuda, and I noticed that the graves were really short, but I didn't notice that. Oh, I knew that I saw the tombstones were really close to each other, but I didn't think they were stacked on top of each other, type of thing.
Yeah, family plots.
Got you. That's interesting. So is that something that everybody does in Bermuda, or is it more like the Black folks do in Bermuda, or is it like who typically does that? I guess just those who couldn't afford a huge family plot, or how does that work?
So I think the plots are like in your family from time. And then there are, forgive me, but I think there are 2 major funeral homes. And because of COVID, there's one that's allowed to cremate people now. So then there's one who cremates people, because I think they're cremating everyone who's died as a side effect of COVID. And it's not really color lined.
Okay.
Now. The plots then were definitely like you were looking like me. There are some plots you weren't getting into, but but now, like it's, and I think they're linked to churches mostly.
Got you.
So like your family is a part of that church, even if you didn't go to church, your family is a part of there. My girl just started going to church before she passed, and then she's in the family plot there at the church.
Okay.
Yeah, but COVID made everybody like super inventive. So we have the cremation, we have people just doing online stuff, which I think everyone's doing around the world. And to come full circle, that's how they heard of me, and that's how they hired me, and that's how I came up with my price. And when the lady said she was going to pay me my full price, I was like, I'll be there. And I'll sing for you and your husband far, far away. You don't mind, I don't mind. Great. It was great.
That's dope.
Speaking of, the government had to cancel a couple of things that were like really major to Bermuda in 2020. We have Cup Match, which we had this year.
Yeah.
And so what they did in order to have it this year is everyone can get tested, and then you get a safe key, like a pass that says you don't have COVID.
Yeah.
But it has to be within 72 hours or whatever. So you can go to a function within those like 3 days or whatever. So everyone who went to Cup Match had to have a safe key. So you didn't have to wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask everywhere I go in.
Right.
Just saying. I don't want to be mistaken for somebody who doesn't care, because I do. I have a grandmother in her 80s, and I have nieces who are too young to be vaccinated, and my life is very social. In that I can't, well, previously I couldn't just sing in my living room, but now I know I can and get paid, which is great. Thank you, David Tutera. That's what really pushed my TikTok following. David Tutera is this amazing, he's now a wedding dress designer, but he's a wedding planner, and he had his own show on television, and tourism brought him here.
Okay.
So this is before COVID. Tourism brought him here, and they were like, what unique space can we find in Bermuda for you to host a wedding? And they came up with the unfinished church down in St. George's. So then they got all these vendors together, and it's really clever. He's like, I'm not going to pay you, but I'm going to put you on all of my social media. You'll get like a wide following. I was like, yeah. And he's like, and I'll tag you in everything. So they got Das Vet is like a, they make everything look amazing. They're like planners. They make everything look great, amazing. And so they had like chandeliers hanging from, there's no ceiling. It's the unfinished church. There's no ceiling. It's outside, but they strung it so that chandeliers are hanging down. And then they got Jimmy floral bouquets. Now, Jimmy is unique because Jimmy is started by Gita Blakeney Saltis, who is like the original jazz singer. I call her my godmother. We're not related, but when I was backstage for that Idol competition, I did what I usually do. I had my hair braided and I pulled it out and left it all crinkly. And I was like, okay, it's going to be great. And she just walked up to me backstage and she looked at me. She pulled out, now Gita's like this color, like nice, just like a nice tan color. She pulls out makeup from her bag, puts powder on my face. And I was like, holy smokes. And then puts red lips on me, takes a pick and starts picking out my finely cultivated waves. I had never had a fro a day in my life, but I had some funky style. So I had a lime green dress that my sister bought for me. And I had some fuchsia hot pink heels that I told my cousin I would like a pink, but with a brown in it from the UK that she mailed to me. So I had my style down. Then I go walking out and my sister's like, I've never seen you like that before. She's my godmother because she created my style in that moment. Like had I not trusted her, I wouldn't have been as far as I am. So she's like original jazz singer in Bermuda. So she started a flower company and she decked out the unfinished church. Do you hear me? She decked it. There were flowers everywhere. It looked so amazing. So amazing. And I was like, okay, they're gonna have a gospel choir there. And so I spoke to the person of the gospel choir and I said, can I introduce my set with one song with your choir? And she was like, yep, absolutely. So I have a Bermudian designer, Amethyst Richardson, who designs like all of my costumes that I wear. I had that underneath a choir robe from church. I sang with them and then it's dead silent. And I come out, the wind is whipping. Again, it's freezing, but I had to pretend that it's not.
Yeah.
The wind is whipping, and so it looks really great with the effects of the robe and stuff, and I'm singing a spiritual a cappella up in the stratosphere that I've learned with the Aeolians. And then I take off the robe, and it's this like beautiful gold embroidered gown, and then I sing and I do my set. David Tutera kept my information. COVID happens, so it's like a full year after. They contact me online and we're like, there's a wedding for a couple who weren't able to get married because of COVID. They can't have the wedding that they want. And I want to gift them the most amazing wedding. Can you sing for it? I was like, yes, I can. And I came outside in some mauve and the sun was shining and it was great. And then I put that little snippet up on TikTok. And because I tagged David Tutera, I went from having 200 views to 800. And I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. Yeah. And that's really how, like, because I've been doing the TikTok for like a couple of, that's how he knew that I could do something online. Yeah. So COVID unleashed a technical part of myself that I did not know was possible because I'm not that technically savvy. Unfortunately, I'm the most technically savvy out of my mom and my grandmother. But,
rightfully so.
But it unleashed things that I was like, okay, Wi-Fi can extend here. I can do this. Great. You can see the water. You can see everything. Yeah. And from that, like people worked and united together specifically because we were so separated, so not able to just touch each other. And so that's probably the only benefit I would say COVID had, was us being able to realize that we could still touch each other here without physically touching each other. That was the one thing. that I probably appreciated about COVID. Things that I would normally just appreciate about having a hurricane and being like, I don't need electronics and I'm self-sustaining.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite of that, because you're by yourself, but then you're like, oh, I could just reach out and touch somebody with like this song and have it mean something, or whatever I'm going through, because I was going through it. Whatever I'm going through, I can just put that aside for a second and then just sing. So yeah, I liked that. I like that about singing, because it doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I can either channel what I'm going through into the song, or I could be like, bump that, put that on the back burner. I'll cry when I get back off stage about that. But I'm gonna be out here and I'm just gonna enjoy my people and like just bring it.
Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite song to like tap into people's souls? I know sometimes you gotta read crowds, but what's that always like just grabs them every time?
Stunningly, it is the spiritual. I always felt that spirituals were only for us.
Yeah.
Like this is, but in having actual allies and in having actual empaths and in having actual people tap into their humanity, they loved it. I used to, not always, but I used to be like, oh, I really want to sing this spiritual, but like it's not enough for my people here and they're not gonna like it. And I did something for Bermuda School of Music at St. James Cathedral, St. Andrews, one of these cathedrals. I just walked in there and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna sing this, because it's a cappella, because usually churches have this wonderful resonance going on. I just belt it for all it's worth. It doesn't matter to me what key I started in, because I'm like, there's no such thing as too high when you're opera singing. You're like, I'm just gonna keep on going. And I had this lady just break down and cry in the front row. And she was like, it was the most touching thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's when I was like, Joy, your experience doesn't have to just be yours. You can share your experience, and whomever hears it wherever they're at. So it doesn't just have to be for me or us. And whatever I was thinking when I wrote a song, people feel something totally different. And that's okay. So sometimes I don't even bother to explain the songs, but my favorite song to tap into is a spiritual called Oh Glory. Wherever I am, I'm like, I'm gonna pull that out and I'm just gonna enjoy the mess out of like hitting these notes and having people be like, Kristen White put it on her story. She was introducing Monroe Steele, who is an amazing fashionista in New York, also moved to Florida as well. She brought her to a show that the tourism was putting together. They're having like outside picnics, beautiful long tables and stuff. And she brought her there. She puts up her story. She's like, the only person who can get me to go to church. And she goes, and this is my church, to be clear, I'm not going. I just like, just this song. Like, it doesn't, I think because spirituals are so personal for whomever was singing it. And even when they were singing it, it could mean, I'm leaving tonight. It could mean, hey guys, meet me later on. It didn't have the connotation that it was supposed to have. And I think that's why it speaks to everybody. It could speak to the rebel inside of you. It could also speak to the person inside of you who has accepted like a greater divine being. It could be all of that. And it does, it doesn't have to be just your experience. And that's probably why I like it, because so many people can relate to that one.
Wow. Okay. Now, what was the time? So you sung in front of presidents and things of that nature. You've sung all over Bermuda. Like, what was the time where you really just pat yourself on the back, like, you know what? I think I did it. I think I'm good now.
I have 2 times. Like, one of the best times of my life was singing in Huntsville, Alabama, with the Oakwood Aeolians, with the Huntsville Symphony, directed by Tavo Verhaus, hand selected by Kathleen Battle to double her high note. So there's 250 of us. She says to Professor Mallory, do you mind if I warm them up? Very demure, totally opposite of what I've heard of her. And she just comes in, and I think the reason why I heard so many bad things about her is because she knows what she's doing, and people don't like that. So she comes in and she warms us all up. Now, warming up 250 voices, she's doing this last song, and she goes, "You," pointing to like the diva of my life, Anika Sampson. She's amazing. Tiffany, who is also another diva, and then me, and I was like, no way. Like, I just felt like, oh my gosh, it was such an amazing moment for me to just, even though nobody else in the audience would know that I'm tripling this lady's high notes so that it sounds like fuller and fuller body, because when you're singing up in the stratosphere, it can tend to sound slightly more airy than your other notes. It's not weak by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But just having us back her, just knowing that inside myself, that was like a take-home moment. Now, the other take-home moment in my life is because I entered the school as like a nobody.
Yeah.
I thought I was a tenor. I was singing with the best of the guys. And I fought every day to sing these high notes, to find them somewhere within my diaphragm.
Right.
To get it out there. And because I fought with my director, he was like, fine, I'm not gonna let you sing tenor. And I was like, okay. I said, but I'm not a first soprano. And he was like, great, you'll sing second soprano. And I was like, I hate this man. But I would go to my voice lessons and I'd sing, and like as I'm learning the techniques and stuff, she's like, do you like it? And tears are streaming down my face. I'm like, no, I hate the sound of this new voice. I hate it. It's awful. But while I'm practicing it, I'm not noticing that I'm getting higher and higher and higher. So the pinnacle is, we're in California, we're on tour. It is my second to last year. And the diva of my life, Anika Sampson, she has every solo because she deserves it, because she brings a life and a heart to it. Because at the time, the only person I knew who could sing up like that was like Mariah Carey. That's all I had to go on. I didn't have classical music and stuff in my background. So I'm just like, who is that person who sings like a bird? I want to sing like her. And my director was like, no, you're going to sing like you, and your voice is bigger and you have a lyric spinto voice. So we're going to cultivate that. I'm like, but I want to sing like her. So I'm like learning all these big things. And in rehearsal, our 3 hours of rehearsal, I'm like secretly singing along with her just to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
So now we're in California. So I've been 3 years in, and she doesn't have anything left. When I say we toured hard. She has nothing left. And she says, I can't do it. I don't have a voice, before we're getting ready to go out. I'll never forget this moment. The director who trained her and taught her and everything, and like followed her from high school to college, in his moment of us being great, he chose a different course of humanity than I would have chosen. I still, like to this day, Lloyd Mallory is my heart. He said to her, don't worry, sweetheart, you're still beautiful. like that's all a woman wants to hear. And I'm like, her whole life at this point is her voice.
Yeah.
And I just looked and I said, I can do it. Just like in a movie. He was like, who else knows this part? Now I'd secretly been like singing along with her in choir, seeing if I could hit these notes. And I'm like, but I'm not in that section, right? Because I told him I wasn't a first soprano. And so I'm like, I am there. And so then I said, I know it, I could do it. And he went, okay, you'll do it. And I was like, but I'm gonna do it with her. I won't sing it unless she's singing with me. And he was like, okay, I don't know if he thought that I was doing it because I wasn't confident or whatever, because I never performed. But when it came time for her solo, he pointed to the two of us. We walked to the front. I opened my mouth. We sang the pants off of this. People stood, they clapped. There was standing ovations. As we're leaving, people were clapping me on the back going, you sounded just like her. people are clapping her on the back going, "You've never sounded better." And after everyone's gone, she turned to me and she said, "I dropped out after the first note." She didn't owe me that. She didn't have to give me that. I didn't know that. Nobody else knew that. And I was like, I did it.
Wow.
I did it. I can do it. I can be a first soprano. And I was a first soprano from that moment on because he wasn't going to let me go back down. But that was when I got to that school, I would hear her singing. I'd be like, I can't do that. I had all these limitations on myself. But if you practice and you stretch, I didn't even know I was practicing. I just knew there was something that I wanted to achieve. And it was a greatness that I didn't know I could even think of from singing Celine Dion, Because You Loved Me 2 years before at my sister's graduation, to headlining for a Kathleen Battle, or singing for whom I thought and I still think has the greatest voice on the planet, Anika Sampson. Like, she's just, that was the was it for me. That was it.
Wow, that's and that was early in your singing career too.
Yeah. So then when I got back, you could see why I didn't sing for 4 years, because then I left here as a tenor and I came back as a first soprano, and people from church ain't playing. They were like, "That thing you do with your voice, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Can you just sing that gospel stuff that you used to sing before?" And my voice teacher told me, all the songs that you used to sing before, you're not gonna be able to sing again. And I didn't believe her until I tried it. And your body, it's like if you were trying to suffocate yourself, you have to let go. Your body has a will to live. Once you know how to do things right, you can't do it wrong.
That's real.
But I mean by wrong is I used to sing in a certain way that would actually affect my vocal cords, so that I would sing until I was hoarse.
Right.
Because I didn't have any technique.
Yeah.
So then I go back to sing those songs, your body has sense memory. It's like, oh, let's sing it that way. And my body's like, nah, we're not doing that. So I just didn't sing because I didn't know what the heck to do with my voice. Nobody wanted to hear my new voice, and I couldn't sing my old songs. And so it took me about 4 years to figure out how to marry my old voice with my new voice, and then not have an older new voice, just have a voice. Where I incorporate everything into it. So that 2 minutes that I did, I was like, I came with the low, I came with the high. It was Through the Fire by Shaka Khan. And No ID, the producer for Jay-Z's 444 album. No ID was a judge for that competition. And when I finished singing my 2 minutes, he just went, "Every now and then, you got someone who has the look, your style. Like, I just want to say, keep doing you the way that you do it, and you're going to go far." And I was like, this is great.
Right.
This is awesome. Now what do I do with that?
Right. What's next, y'all?
Yeah, it just took me 10 years to figure it all out, to figure out that I could write songs, to figure out that my poetry could be turned into music. It was a growth that I didn't know was a growth. Like, each time you think, like, when am I gonna arrive? When am I gonna make it?
Yeah.
And finally you're like, yo, Holmes, the journey is your arrival.
Yeah.
The journey is you making it.
Yeah.
Each new step is amazing. I opened for Patti LaBelle, and I was thinking, great, I'm gonna meet Patti LaBelle. I ain't never met no Patti LaBelle. But I opened for Patti LaBelle. It sounds amazing.
Right.
I opened for Seal. I met Seal. I opened for Yolanda Adams. I opened for Smokey Norval. I opened for Jasmine Sullivan.
Wow.
I've opened for amazing people who I didn't get to meet. So every time in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I get to meet them, and then I'll make something of myself. This is the journey, Holmes. This is the journey.
Yeah.
Dude, like, each time you do something, you get better and better and better.
Straight up.
Until COVID happened. And then the Department of Culture contacted me and said, we want to have a national holiday for the very first time for Mary Prince. Mary Prince is the very first recollection of what it was like to be a slave in Bermuda, because Bermuda is a very polite society. So there are still people to this day who swear down that slavery wasn't as bad for Bermudian slaves because they are polite to them. So I'm sorry, but if I'm starving and you tell me I'm sorry, love, you can't eat here and you can't eat that. And if you don't stop, I'm gonna scrub the skin off of you in the bath. That's not something that I'm gonna be like, oh well, thank God there's not a whip. Like
Right.
this not like
Right.
like
Right.
it was like when that presidential statement where dude said that that the enslaved who built the White House were treated kindly. I was like, do you think that's what people want to be doing with their spare time?
Well, all the time.
Some
Like,
people might want to have some spare time. I'm just, but so I was asked to write a song for Mary Prince for the very first holiday that they're going to have for Mary Prince. So I'm going through all of these health challenges that I'm not telling anybody about, and I'm singing TikTok, and I'm like wondering, am I dying? What am I gonna do? What song am I gonna sing tonight? I'm gonna go out in my garden, just me and my puppy, and we're gonna do the thing, and we're gonna pick stuff, and we're gonna make stuff, and we're like, I'm posting vegan recipes, and I'm like living it up because I don't know what's wrong with me physically. And then I get a phone call to write a song for the holiday, and I'm just like, Joy, this is it. Yeah. You can put your entire heart and soul into all the pain that you are currently feeling now. You can find out her story. So I contacted the two doctors who were working on the Mary Prince story. It's Dr. Clarence Maxwell and Dr. Christy Warren. And I was like, just tell me everything that you know about her, everything that you've read, all the time that you spent in the archives. I don't want to see something I could find on the internet. Tell me what you've been reading. And they gave me the information. That's how I learned about bath time. Thanks, Rita. That's how I learned about bath time. That's how I learned about the salt mines. Like she had intense like arthritis from being beaten, working in salt mines, the salt eating through her hands. And then, when you bend, like that crack in your lip when it's dry, but it's all cracked, and you got to go back, and she's like putting more salt into it, like, so it like got into her bones and stuff. So she's describing all this, and I'm like, I'm gonna write the song. And not everybody, but one of the persons said, we want it to be like an anthem. I'm like, I get that.
Right,
but I don't think pain is everybody's anthem.
Right.
So I'm gonna write the song the way I see it. And a part of me was like, man, I'm not giving them an anthem for people to sing along. But another part of me was like, you don't get to co-opt somebody else's pain and turn it into an anthem. And so I thought about that for a while, and then I wrote the song, and they loved it. I loved it. It makes me like, whenever I sing it, I have to try really hard. But one of the ministers came up to me. I sang it for Emancipation Weekend this year, because it's every year. Mary Prince will be celebrated every year. And he just said, I've never heard you live. I didn't even know who you were. But when you sing that song, it makes me feel like I'm not even in Bermuda. And the thing I think I want to take home most about my career is I want people to know what is possible in Bermuda. Because I'm international, yes. So when people call me like a local singer, I'm like, put some stank on it. What do you mean local? Like I can't do other things. I choose to be here because this is where I'm from, and I love it here. I travel there because I think I want to make sure that it's not just a little pond that I'm swimming in. So I go everywhere, and I meet all sorts of people, and there are so many talented people here. So I want us to put a little less disrespect on the word local. But this year,
you just watched another episode of Fool's Gold TV. Don't forget to join our memberships to receive access to all of the exclusive getaways, episodes, learning materials, and gifts. And of course, please share, like, subscribe, and follow. See you next time.